Thanks so much for joining us. With the debt deadline looming, House and Senate leadership say they're working towards a compromise. But lawmakers on both sides of the aisle say they need to work fast with time running out. Basil John reports today from the nation's capital.
President Joe Biden says he and congressional leaders agree they will not let the country default.
Every leader in the room understands the consequences if we fail to pay our bills.
But time is running out to avoid the debt limit's June 1st deadline.
We still have a lot more work to do between now and the day we bring the legislation to the floor.
A key sticking point is the demand from Republicans to add work requirements for some safety net programs. President Biden says he's not open to major additions.
Not anything of any consequence.
On work requirements, he'd accept not anything of any consequence. Where does that
This is a senator who voted for work requirements.
But House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell urged the president.
Let's sit down in a sensible, responsible way.
Because it took the president 3 months to start dealing in reality, we now have a time problem.
While those negotiations proceed, House Democrats, like Connecticut Congressman Joe Courtney, are attempting to use something called a discharge petition to go around Speaker McCarthy and bring raising the debt ceiling up for a direct vote.
A number of us feel that we need to at least have another option available because the X date is fast approaching.
That petition won't be successful unless at least 5 Republicans join all Democrats. Because that's unlikely, other lawmakers say the only path forward is a sensible bipartisan bill. Reporting in Washington, I'm Basil John.
Basil, thank you. Let's get more reaction now from Indiana's congressional delegation, starting with Congresswoman Victoria Spartz, who spoke with our Kristen Eskow last week to get her thoughts on the looming debt deadline.
Former President Trump said this week that he thinks the GOP should force a default if Democrats don't agree to the spending cuts Republicans have proposed. Do you agree with him?
I think, Democrats are going to cause default if they not want to have a serious conversation. So I think it's important to get our spending under control. And if President Biden is not willing to have a discussion with Republicans, then he's going to be causing the default. Republicans do not want to do it. That's not our plan, but he needs to get to the table and not do grandstanding.
So you would support a default if Democrats don't agree to anything?
I support us to renew this commitment, but also to take spending under control. And I do not support grandstanding of President Biden and Democrat Party. It's unacceptable.
Representative Spartz there with our Kristen Eskow. This week, Kristen also sat down with Indiana Congressman Greg Pence ahead of this looming deadline.
So I want to first ask you about the ongoing talks over the debt limit as we approach the deadline here for a potential default on debts. To avoid that situation, what kind of compromise do you think Republicans should agree to?
Well, Kristen, remember that we already passed a bill. It was passed in the House by unanimously with the Republicans. As far as I'm concerned, that was the first move, if you will. I don't know why the Senate isn't coming up with something. I'm not real sure why they haven't passed something or debated something, why they're just pushing it back to the House of Representatives. I'd like the viewers to remember that on December 22nd of last year, the House and the Senate passed a $1.7 trillion omnibus or budget bill. 3 weeks later, Secretary Yellen said, hey, we're out of money. And so the House, the Republicans, Kevin McCarthy, we've done all we can to get this conversation going. Now it's the ball's in the other side's court, and let's see what they have to say.
Do you think a short-term agreement to push this to the fall should be on the table?
That's probably what's going to happen. I'm probably going to be pretty negative on that. This didn't happen yesterday, and all these folks are worried about is getting reelected.
In regards to 2024 as well, I know you've told me in the past you want to see your brother, former Vice President Mike Pence, run for president. How soon can we expect him to announce his decision?
Well, I've asked him to consider to get in sooner. There's a process, as you well know. This Monday, a super PAC was formed on his behalf, and I think they'll do some work in some of the early states. I just hope he makes a decision quick and gets in quick. And there's a number of reasons that I'd like to see him do it sooner. The Republican Party needs to be talking about the Christian conservative values that my brother has brought to the table for years. And right now, I don't see that happening on a national basis. We're kind of throwing stones at each other across the river, and that's not good. We need to talk about our solutions for the future, and I think my brother could do that.
Can we expect an announcement by the end of May, sometime in June?
I hope so. I'm getting impatient, and if he doesn't, I'm going to run in his place.
So you're hoping to see him announced by the end of the month?
Whenever that is, whenever the right time is. I know he's spent a lot of time thinking about it, praying about it. The timing's always a manageable variable, but I hope it's sooner rather than later.
Polls, meanwhile, have shown your brother trailing former President Trump, the frontrunner, significantly in this race, should he enter the race. What do you think is the best way to court more of those Trump supporters to switch to supporting your brother instead?
Well, I think getting in, I don't think they really have an alternative right now to really consider. Just get in and start talking about the issues.